This guy emailed in about, he's doing his CeMAP 2, CeMAP 3 very shortly, and he's getting a little bit nervous, rightfully so. I like a bit of nerves, it keeps you on your edge, doesn't it? And he's kind of like worrying about the calculations in the exam. Now, in CeMAP 2 and 3, there are quite a lot of calculations, not massive numbers. In CeMAP 3, there's quite a few. So you have to be really good at calculating. He said to me, on the drop-in tonight, we have video drop-ins for everybody. They all sort of 10 people rock up for half an hour. We chat through topics and stuff like that. You know, it's live. People get a lot of value from that. He said, can you go through the calculations? I said, of course I can. I said, but there's a lot of them. Which ones do you want me to cover? And he said, well, I don't know really. I said, well, here they are. There's 11. I brainstormed 11 of them. And he was amazed by that. And I said, well, no, there are a lot of calculations. So let me share with you those 11 calculations for you for CeMAP 2 and 3, just to give you a bit of an idea as to what you need to know. CeMAP 2 and CeMAP 3, there you go, is where we're at. We're not CeMAP 1 now. This is the mortgage paper. And this also is for the advanced CeMAP as well. So here's the 11 calculations for you. Number 1 is higher lending charges, or MIGs as we used to call them. Higher lending charges are where you work out a large loan to value for a client, and the lender will charge a higher lending charge on that. So it's a percentage based upon the lending. And you have to work out percentages and stuff like that. So make sure you get some calculations around that. We've got some videos on that topic, because it's quite a long topic, you should learn how to do that. There's always calculations on those, even though no lenders charge them anymore, but there, that's just the way it goes, isn't it? Next one is general sort of loan to value calculations. Loan to value calcs are the general ones really. Maximum loans, that sort of thing, so maximum loans. So here you need to be able to work out your 95% mortgage, your 80% mortgage. Give a purchase price, give a loan, you've got to work out what the loan to value is. It's not difficult, you just put the loan into the purchase price, hit the percentage button. But the loan to value percentage is really important when it comes to lending. High LTVs offer high interest rates, low LTVs are more readily available, much more better business for lenders, much lower interest rates. So in CeMAP 3 you might have a list of products that you have to recommend, and each one is geared around a loan to value calculation. So you do need to know about that, of course you do. So that's number 2 there. Number 3 are your monthly mortgage or interest calculations. There you go. Interest calculations. Now an interest calculation, calc there, is not a difficult thing. That's when you apply your loan to a percentage. So it could be that you're being charged 3% and you've got a mortgage of £50,000. How much is the monthly interest payment? All you do there is the loan times the interest rate divided by 12 number of months, and that's how you work that out. Not a difficult thing to do. The hard one though are repayment mortgage calculations. So repayment mortgage calcs, they're really tricky actually, because you can't just work out a percentage, you've got to work out how much of the capital is going to be repaid. And what happens here often is they'll give you a number of calculations. One, they might work out, here's your interest payment, but over the year Bob's going to be repaying this amount of capital. Or in year 2 his capital was this amount, whereas in year 1 it was that amount. So you then need to work out how much capital was repaid during the year, divide that by 12 and add that to the interest payment, and that gives you total payments. Now you won't really ever have to calculate a monthly payment on repayment, because it's impossible to do without a computer, without some kind of number. Sometimes they will give you a ratio of say £5 or per thousand borrowed. So it could be that they could give you 7.2, for example, per £1,000 borrowed. So if you had a £100,000 mortgage, 100 times 7.2 gives you the monthly payment. That might be a way of doing it. But you've got to think it through. You've got to get logical. You've got to work it out in your head. Now, a lot of people do CeMAP and expect answers to be there. Sometimes you have to work it out. It's not always memorised from a book. This wasn't in the book, they say to me. I said, well, of course it's not in the book. It's something you have to figure out in your head. So that's the those calculations. Number 5 are affordability calculations. Affordability. that's a word, isn't it? Calculations. Here, what you're doing is you're working out how much somebody can afford to borrow on a mortgage. That's what you're doing there. I mean, it used to be dead simple because you had multipliers, so 4 times income might be the one to use. But what they're doing there is they're trying to get you to work out what income is taken into account. So you'll need to know about bonuses and overtime if they're employed. Often half a bonus is taken into account and they add that to the basic salary and you multiply that by 3 or 4 and that gives you the maximum mortgage they'll lend you. So it's all about working out what your income is as well. And on that subject, what they also do, and I'll squeeze this one over here, let's get a different colour pen, shall we? Because we can, number 6 there for you, squeezing number 6, is income and expenditure calculations. Income and expenditure. Let's put that one up for you. Expenditure. Similar to affordability, but what you're doing here is you're working out how much surplus money people have got, how much disposable income somebody's got. Let's put that in there, disposable income somebody's got. And it's not a difficult thing to do. You just work out what their income is and you take away what their expenditure is, and what's left over is pretty much their disposable income. It's always difficult to calculate that. It's not always real, is it, at the end of the day? I mean, we popped out, say, for a meal last week, cost 100 quid. I told you that earlier, or yesterday, in fact. Now, that's not in my income and expenditure, but I suppose that's disposable income. What they do then, all your income, so salary, self-employed, bonuses, net profits, whatever it is, less your expenditure. They might give you example expenditure. In the exam, they'll give you compulsory expenditure, in other words, mandatory expenditure, discretionary expenditure. They might give you a couple of figures around that. Obviously, mandatory expenditure you've got to take off, haven't you, like other loans and stuff. Discretionary expenditure are things that you could stop, and it may not give you your disposable income. Now, when they get to disposable income, what they often do, they say, look, the lender is going to give you a percentage of that disposable income. For example, 80% of your disposable income they will allow as a monthly mortgage payment to work out the maximum loan. So, for example, if your disposable income is £1,000, be nice, wouldn't it? 80% of that is £800. So £800 a month is the most mortgage they will lend you. That's how they work it out. Now that's often stressed as well. So they'll do a stress test on that one, say it's 6%. So let's go through that again. So if your disposable income is £1,000 a month after all these deductions, the lender will take 80% of that, 800 quid, and that £800 is a maximum monthly payment they'll lend you. But that monthly payment is worked out at 6%, which is the stress rate. Now your mortgage is probably only going to cost you £500 a month, but that's the most they'll lend you. There's no multipliers there. That's the modern method, if you like. But trying to put that into an exam is very, very difficult to do. So that's income expenditure. That's another calculation. A couple more for you, probably come across, not difficult ones. Pension commencement lump sums. Your 25% of the fund. It's not a difficult calculation to do, but that's often used in pension-linked mortgages. How much of a fund is used to repay a mortgage? Well, 25% is the tax-free, you see. Pension commencement lump sum is the tax-free figure. That's often used in calculations in the exam as well. Obviously, can't go without looking at stamp duty land tax. So SDLT is always calculated. They give you the numbers in the tax sheet anyway. And by the way, tax numbers are all given to you in the tax sheets. But you'll have to work it out. It's not difficult to work it out once you've got the tax information. But they'll give you a purchase price and they'll tell you how much stamp duty is charged. And maybe they'll say that the purchase price was reduced by 20 grand. What saving in stamp duty will they have? You may get questions around that as well. That's fair enough. Number 9, buildings insurance. You might get questions around building insurance. Let's put the buildings insurance claims. I've seen questions around, the excess, 20% excess on a claim for subsidence maybe, or something like that. So you might get questions around that. Let's get you a different colour pen so we can sort of keep these away from each other. Not massive though, that one. Number 10, just scraping the barrel now, income protection policy calculations. You know, here you're looking at the cover, so you're looking at, they might say 60% of the person's income is covered with 6 months deferred. So there'll be sort of calculations around that side of things you might get, but pretty unusual. The big one though, the one that causes lots of people problems, are buy-to-let calculations, BTLs, you know, buy-to-let calcs. And what we're looking at here is what they call interest coverage, you know, where you have 125% or 145% coverage. And what you have to do there, of course, is work out for a given rent how much mortgage can be secured on that property. There are ratios you've got to use. We did a video on this actually recently. You might want to have a look at that one. It's on the bootcamp as well. Might have put it on YouTube, which gives you calculations for buy-to-lets. That's creeped in too. So as you can see, I've got quite a few on here. I've got 11 different calculations that you need to be comfortable with and how they all work. Your best bet is to have a look at some CeMAP 3 specimen papers to work out calculations and things, or have a look at some specimen papers to sort of find out how they work, or dive into the textbook. They'll have example calculations on there for you, or our bootcamp's got videos which take you through them. So that's just a nice little update for you. My mate who emailed me, he can actually watch this video. Hi, my friend, I won't tell you who it is. Thank you for that subject, being around, allowing me to talk you through this.